Hello, everybody. Welcome yet again for another special edition of the Elite City Podcast. It is I, your co-host as always, Mr. Blasco, along with the man from the Great White North, Mr. Rick. What's up?
Hey, really enjoyed the pay-per-view. Really, still pretty excited about it. It was a good show.
Oh,
Very good show.
fantastic show.
I
Lots
think
of
this
fun.
might have been the best one of the year.
I agree. And have we decided like this is their WrestleMania, correct?
I think so. Just like
I
I,
think
I
so
was,
too.
I was mentioning it to you before we went on the like during the show. You could tell it was like their WrestleMania because like the set was new. There was a brand new set.
Yeah.
There was like people had different outfits. People had different gear on. They went full gear with their
They did
with their
go full gear.
costumes and their. I think it felt like WrestleMania. Like it felt like a bigger production than most of their pay-per-views.
Yeah, it definitely had that vibe to it. It had that feeling. It was great. It was a lot
Now
of
we just
fun.
have to establish: do you go full gear? Do you hit full gear? Do you reach
Uh,
full gear? Do you? What
Do
is
you
it?
attain it? Do you
That's
attain
right.
full
Like,
gear?
you attain-
I don't know.
Yeah, it
I don't know.
needs to be quantified.
It's a very good question to ask. um,
But yeah, I'd say this is like their WrestleMania. It's becoming their biggest show of the year.
I think
I think
so
it already
too.
like it's there. Like you were right last week when you said it. It seemed like it was going to be All Out just because
Yeah,
of the history of All Out. But I feel like this is Full Gear has been their biggest show for the last couple of years, and I think that'll continue.
yeah. This was. I mean, this was even the pre-show, which we're going to go over here in a second. From the pre-show till the main event. I mean, it was a long show, but it was. I mean, an entertaining show. I did not have one complaint about like, oh man, it's you know 11 o'clock. I mean, yeah, I was tired, but I was entertained.
Yeah, that's the thing about AEW shows in general, but especially their pay-per-views. Even their really long ones, like even their like this is like if this is their WrestleMania, it
Right.
doesn't drag. Like that's my knock against like WWE pay-per-views. Like I haven't seen many of them recently, but the last one I watched I think was WrestleMania. And that I know it's 2 days, but it drags. Like they have video packages, they have a Hall of Fame, they have a musical guest, they have a like whereas here it's just match, maybe short thing in between, and then match, and then another little short, and then match. Like it's
Yeah,
they keep it going.
and I mean, it doesn't have to be all quality. Obviously, there's going to be hiccups here and there, but
Sure.
this show hit. Like I, I mean, obviously there were like little hiccups and little missteps, but like nothing was. I mean, nobody was hurt, obviously, or anything like that. But it was, it was almost perfection. Like the way that it was performed, it was
Yeah.
everything was so well done.
And even the matches that I would say were like the worst, like there was no bad matches. I'm not when I say worst
Right,
match on the show, that's
right.
grading on a curve. Even though the worst matches on the show were good. Like there was nothing truly bad or disappointing or like upsetting or anything on the show. Like it was all good.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll jump right into it. We're gonna just briefly touch on the few things that happened during the pre-show. Uh, Again, and the matches were good. They were not the normal. Um, I don't want to say lower quality, but you know what you normally get on a pre-show. It's like,
Right.
hey, we're giving you this for free.
Right.
It's a commercial.
Right.
So, uh,
We have
but
to
I
talk about
mean,
how we started off with Evil Danhausen.
oh yeah. Um, the first match of the pre-show, which they called Zero Hour, which I thought was pretty cool, um, was the Factory, some iteration of them, because I didn't write down who it was, so I apologize.
Can't forget about Cole Carter.
Well, I know Cole Carter was
Cole
involved, Aaron
Carter
Solo was involved, but I
and
don't know.
QT was there, and then
And
some
QT,
others. Yeah.
yeah, and two more, I think, obviously.
Sure.
And you had Best Friends and Rocky Romero, and then they had a very mysterious, very evil tag team partner who showed up later in the match,
Yes.
and it was Evil Danhausen, and it was done extremely well, and it's the coolest thing ever. because
Yeah.
it makes his character make more sense now.
It's cool because like he's like the evil. I don't like I've only seen Danhausen in AEW. Like I didn't follow him before. I saw him on like a Conan O'Brien podcast and then AEW.
Right.
That's the extent of my history with Danhausen. But I like it because even like the most evil version of Danhausen is still like pretty silly. Like
Yes.
it's not like it's not like he like switched, you know, like Penta has like Penta
Yeah.
Dark, who's like just evil. Like he's like evil Danhausen, still like he's still pretty silly, which I like.
I loved his collar on his cape was just bigger. Like that was really the only change.
Right.
It was just higher.
Yeah.
But it makes his character make sense. Like I was thinking about this during the match. Like he did none of his he did all his gimmicks at the end, but it was like you push Danhausen, you beat him down, you beat him up, you beat him down, you push him down, and it drives him to he has to turn in to evil Danhausen, who is obviously regular Danhausen's a very good technical wrestler too, but you never see that with regular. That's the very nice part. When you
Right.
make him very evil, it's so cool that he just annihilated
I
everybody.
even noticed that like he didn't talk much, but his voice
Right.
was like his regular voice. It wasn't his Danhausen voice.
Yeah, it was if they do it that way, I just make evil Danhausen like special. Maybe
Yeah.
see him twice a year or something like that would be so fun.
And I
Because
do
that
like
was
that they continuously reference Britt Baker with the teeth. Like maybe he's getting them from her. They never clarify
yeah,
that. I like that.
yeah, yes. Uh then we had a and the best friends Rocky Romero and Evil Danhausen win.
Yes.
Um world title eliminator um qualifier tournament match.
Semi-final, something. Yeah.
Semifinal, something. Yeah, there were so many this between Friday and Saturday, and it was unreal. Um, Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. Ethan Page on commentary. It was a solid wrestling match. I thought it would be more of a fight, but I'm glad they did it this way. It showed Brian Cage like a little bit of a different side. So um, it was a good match. Nothing to, you know,
Yeah, Brian Cage is
yeah.
surprisingly impressing since he's returned.
Yes.
He's been like, I mean, he's not blowing at the world over, but like whatever, but he's good. Like he's doing well.
Totally.
And Ricky Starks is surprisingly to me, he's doing a much better job as a face than I would have thought he would be. Like to me, he just seems like a natural heel. Like he's cocky, he's full of himself. Like
Yeah.
he just seems like he's going to be a really good. But he has a really good face run so far.
Yeah, it's very intriguing to see it because he kind of slowly did it. Like there
Yeah,
wasn't that moment where you were like, "Oh, there it was." Like he would go a little bit one way and then bring it back,
yeah.
or he'd go. It was very interesting to see, and I love it. And I think he wins. Do you think he beats Ethan Page, or do
I
you
think
think
he does
Ethan
now.
Page still?
Given the way the show ended and who he'll be facing, I think it's Ricky Starks. Plus the fact that they moved the
True.
entire tournament. Because Ricky Starks couldn't wrestle makes me think
True.
that he'll win. But yeah, given the circumstances of everything else surrounding him, I think he wins.
Yeah. So
I did think Ethan
obviously,
Page before all this, but now I think
same here.
I think
Same here.
Ricky.
Uh, and obviously, with we're talking about Ricky winning the whole thing, he beats Brian Cage. Um, and they moved that match to its this week on Dynamite. Um, did they say it's the main event, or is it just announced?
They didn't say main event. I'm
Okay.
assuming main event, but I don't.
Okay.
They didn't say.
Yeah. So obviously, it's definitely on Dynamite. We can say
Yeah,
that much.
yeah. It's too bad that it couldn't be on the pay per view, but now it's going to get a bit more focus. That it would have not lost in the shuffle,
Yes.
but I mean, there was a lot happening on the pay per view. So
Yes. Yeah. So maybe even for the better that it shows up just on television.
yeah,
And then we had the surprise match, which I think it was even announced Saturday morning, if I'm not mistaken.
I
It
think
could have
so.
been
Yeah,
late.
late Friday,
Okay.
maybe like right after Rampage.
Which I was already asleep, so I
Right.
saw it. I saw it first thing Saturday morning.
Right.
They gave Eddie Kingston his dream match with Jun Akiyama. Uh, I mean, this was pure pro wrestling on a Japanese level, if there ever was. I mean, this
Yeah.
was cool.
And it was just really cool for Eddie, like to get to work with someone who clearly he looked up to and wanted to be like that. That's just really cool.
Yeah. It was a physical match. The crowd loved it. It was a good way to end the 0 hour too. I think the crowd was nice and pumped up because Eddie beat Jun Akiyama, and then he asked for the microphone, and he delivered a heartfelt and hilarious promo at the same time.
Yeah, I love
awesome.
that. I love that he took it and was just like, kind of like, oh, how much time do I have? Only 2 minutes. Oh, what? Excalibur has to talk for a while. That was funny.
Yeah.
But I think I said to you before, what I really liked about that was he took the mic after barely talked about himself, like talked about how it was a dream match, but then put everyone else over, put his opponent over, put the show itself over, put Mox over, put Toni Storm over. Like he spent his time putting over the show and getting you to buy the show, which is obviously your job as the person closing the pre-show.
Right.
But he did that really well.
Yeah. And it was 100% Eddie Kingston fashion.
Eddie seems a bit like a guy like I think Sting or even Bryan Danielson. They are so selfless in putting other people over that they don't get enough credit for themselves.
True.
Like I feel like Eddie would be perfectly happy to not fight for any championships or main event any shows if he gets to, like, you know, wrestle the Japanese legends he wants to wrestle. Like he wouldn't push for more. He's not going to be like, I deserve to be here. He's just happy doing what he's doing.
Totally. And that is somebody that like there is a lot of young people in AEW, and if you have somebody like that you see that they're a vet where they could have been not necessarily like a cancer, but like just
like they could have complained, they could have pushed for more, they could have, backstage politicked their way into something, and he hasn't, so good for him.
Yeah, he hasn't, and the young people are learning that, hey, you don't have to act that way, and you can still be rewarded. And that's a good thing to have.
For sure.
So the very first match of the show, they went full gear.
Yes, they definitely hit full gear.
Yes, because they started with the steel cage match, Jungle Boy Jack versus Luchasaurus, and wow.
I think this or the trios match, I think this was my match of the night, even though it was the first one. I think this is probably my match of the night. This was a great match.
It was great. It was the storytelling of the intertwining friendship that was years in the making ending, and the whole thing with Christian, and everything was. This was an awesome blow-off match.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a spot. I mean, there were certainly huge spots, but it wasn't just like we're going to jump off high things. Like there was a story. You said there was a story to it. There was emotion to it. There was all of them, including Christian, played their roles perfectly. Like it was a really, really great match.
Yeah, Jungle Boy was busted open early because the match basically started with Luchasaurus just lawn darting in the cage over and over again. The way that Christian stole the keys, I'm going to give AEW credit here because I thought it was really cool. I think that was referee Mike Posey. If they would have caught that on camera earlier, you would have. He obviously had a keychain sticking out of his.
Right.
I mean, it was like down to his knee almost.
Yeah.
So you'd have been like, "Oh, okay, there's the cage keys."
Right.
But they somehow hid that from the entire audience until about a second before it happened. Then
I think they learned from the shark cage thing with like, she's going to be controlling the key. Like, well, obviously that means someone's getting the key.
Right. Christian grabs the key. Before you know it, the door is open, which means nothing in the AEW world of cage matches because it's submission pinfall in the ring. So,
which I really like.
Same here. It makes it more real because, like, why would you try to be escaping if you really want to beat the heck out of the person that
and especially
you're in there.
I get that the idea of escaping was like you'd beat them so badly that you can just walk out. Like I get the idea behind it. But that's never how a cage match ends. It always ends with like both guys climbing and like
exactly.
So it never ends with someone like beating up so badly that the other guy can just walk out. I don't think a cage match has ever ended that way. So
it would be an awesome ending though.
Yeah. So getting rid of that aspect and just having pinfalls or submissions is great.
Yeah.
I as the match started, I was like, why is the cage not all the way to the floor? Like I thought it was weird, but then like, oh, so they can go into the ring. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah. It was just Christian doing that, like his little shenanigans that he pulled and got the keys and got it open, and all that went in was with 2 chairs and a table, correct?
Yeah. And I like that was even when he like obviously him opening the cage, stealing the key was very obvious. But like he didn't open the door and be like, okay, the door is open, Luchasaurus, come out. He kind of just opened it and then got dragged off, and then it's unlocked now. So now Luchasaurus could open it. Like it was done really well.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not gonna try to draw too much attention to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
I also really like the way, I mean, clearly Luchasaurus is inspired by Kane. Like everything from the punches to the gloves to the intro, like all of it is, and that's fine. Like I have no problem with that. Totally. But I like that he's wrestling like a big guy now. If that makes any sense. Like he's very talented. Like he could do moonsaults, he could do like spin kicks. Like but he's wrestling like a monster now, and that means when he does pull out a moonsault once in a while, which he will. It's going to be even a bigger deal because he's
that's end game almost.
Yeah. I really like this like dark Luchasaurus character.
And that's where having guys like Mark Henry, Paul White, and Dustin Rhodes,
right?
They literally probably taught Luchasaurus to be big,
right?
Because he was the giant. Like it's usually you went to WWE, they said you were in the land of giants. Well, Luchasaurus was in the Indies, where everybody was about a foot shorter than him.
And they wrestled a specific style of like flips and kicks that he could do, so he did it too. But he doesn't necessarily need to. I forget who it was. Maybe it was JR once, 20 years ago, 30, 25 years ago, who said something that you could tell that a character is doing well because people will stand up and applaud more when like Undertaker does one dive over the ropes once every 6 months.
Oh, right.
Versus someone who does it 3 times a match.
Right.
Right. Like he built up that this is a special thing for me to do, not just like a mid-match move. And I don't want to sound like a Jim Cornette, but there is something to be said for not doing everything you can do all the time.
True.
So that when you do pull out those things, like when Luchasaurus, he is going to do the tail whip kick that he does or something soon.
Yeah.
And it's going to be even better because he hasn't done it in a while.
Right. And like you just said, when he hits that next moonsault, it's going to be that much bigger. That's great point. The other thing that we brought up, his new nickname, which could also be a Kane reference.
Right.
The right hand of justice.
And Destruction, I think it is, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Right hand of destruction. I'm sorry. Not justice.
Which would also be a cool name, but yes.
Which would be a cool name. I apologize. I think I texted you after Christian called him that. Is that the hand that Kane wore the glove on?
I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was.
So his new name even makes him Lucha Kane.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the hand. I looked at it originally, at least. Maybe he changed his hand. Oh, because he changed his costume once, but like original Kane had a glove on his right hand. Yeah.
Okay. And you even said that the cage match had the day that Kane debuted vibe. I forget who said the match was.
Yeah, it reminded me of the Shawn Michaels Undertaker Hell in a Cell match where Kane debuted, because it was kind of that match. I don't know how much you remember. I, for some reason, remember anything that happened in late 90s WWF. But that match was basically, the first half of it was just Undertaker throwing Shawn Michaels face first into the cage. And he was bleeding, and he just kind of tossed him around for a while. And then they got out of the cage, and that's the way that Michaels got the advantage, because then he could use a chair or whatever it was that he found. Yeah. So.
And then did the elbow drop.
Yeah. So it reminded me of that match. It wasn't like a move for move copy of that, but I feel like it was definitely inspired by that.
After you said that, I went after the pay per view and I did watch that match, and you're right. It definitely had that vibe. And if it was on purpose, that's awesome. If it just was by happenstance, that's actually kind of a cool coincidence.
Yeah. And like, yeah, we've talked a lot about Luchasaurus. We didn't even mention Jack Perry, but he had a great performance. Like, it was a great match.
Yeah.
He has a good character down now. Before, he didn't really have a character. He was just a guy.
Yes.
Now he pretty much has a character. He has like his motivation. He has like a slightly different wrestling style. Like, it really works.
It really works, and they're adding Jack to everything. He's no longer Jungle Boy. He's Jungle Boy Jack or Jungle Jack.
Right.
They're throwing that up there, which I like.
Yeah.
And as we were saying before, when Luchasaurus brought some heavy hitters into the ring with 2 chairs and a table, and the one chair exploded when when Jungle Boy Jack got chokeslammed through it. Which to me, I'm just I want your opinion on it. Do you think that was a gimmicked chair?
Yeah, probably. I feel like it must have been, because it broke perfectly. Yeah.
Yes, that it was too perfect. Like,
and for the record, like, I'm fine with gimmick chairs. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, I'd rather have you not get hurt than do something like that. So I'm even fine with people. A lot of people are like against, like, blood capsules. I'd be fine with that too. Like, you don't have to hurt yourself. Just do something that looks cool, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. The longer you can do it, and the less unnatural harm you can do to yourself, absolutely.
But as JR would say, there's no way to fake jumping off of a cage through a table.
So that's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say, if the chair was gimmicked, gravity can never be gimmicked.
Yes.
And Jungle Boy Jack climbs to the top, and everybody knew where he was going after he got to the top rope. He was going all the way to the top of the cage. Him and Luchasaurus kind of struggled back and forth. He choked Luchasaurus out, and he gets him on the table. He goes to the top, and I mean, it was probably the coolest elbow drop I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But it looked like it hurt so bad.
Maybe it was the camera angle or what, but it seemed really high up too. Like, I don't know, maybe they shot it from below, but the cage seemed really tall, like taller than most cages.
Yeah, like he fell a long way.
Yeah.
And it looked like it hurt. That's all.
It looked like it hurt, and that's always something that even if you're jumping onto a pillow, right? Like, even from that height, like, it's still got to be scary to be like, I'm 15 feet in the air and I'm just gonna fall off. I'm just gonna jump. Like, no matter what you're falling on. Like, it's still it's got to be going against everything natural about you to be like, I'm just gonna dive off this cage. So good for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally good for him. And I mean, that's what he had to do to beat the dinosaur, whom you picked to win. Jungle Boy Jack gets the win. You went up 1-0 on me.
There you go. I'm really curious to see where both of them go after this. I don't know. I wonder if his feud with Christian is over, or if he's going to get a blow-off match with Christian himself.
Yeah, they kind of alluded to it not being over yet when they were going to the back. But I mean, obviously, a lot depends on where Christian is with his injury. I mean, if he's, say he could be ready by the new year, well, just keep them intertwined. Maybe just have Luchasaurus interfere with, just give Jungle Boy random matches for Luchasaurus to interfere in.
Right.
You know what I mean? To keep it kind of relevant. And then, like, he'll be like, why do you keep bothering me? I already beat you. And then Christian will be like, well, you never beat me.
Right.
Or something like that. I think that's how they would do it if it's close. But if it's
that's what I would like to see them do. I feel like it must be close, because I think it was JR or Tony Schiavone. Someone mentioned, how long has he been wearing that cast anyway? Like, they were kind of mentioning that it's been a long time. So I feel like they wouldn't do that if he wasn't close to coming back.
And maybe not even drag it out. Maybe just have Jungle Boy come out and cut his promo and say, he claimed that it's over, and then Christian come out and be like, "Oh no, it's not over."
Right.
And that can do that tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night. Do that Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that match really set the bar for the evening first and
Yeah,
foremost.
for
I mean,
sure.
they went, excuse the pun, they went all out at Full Gear. So they
Yes.
went Full Gear at Full Gear.
They definitely went full gear.
um, and the bar was set, and I think every match at least attained the bar from this point on in the evening. I mean, there was nothing that was subpar for the rest
Yeah,
of the
there was
night.
no like low, like it didn't. Yeah, you're right. It didn't
Right,
really drop down after that. There was like obviously like you can't go that fast, that hard
right.
for 5 hours, but there was no like, oh, I'm gonna walk away because this one hasn't been very good.
Yeah, exactly. And well, what a better way to keep the momentum going from your steel cage match for the trios championship, Death Triangle versus the Elite. And you bring the Elite back, and they got the freaking song, and they come out to Wayward Son by Kansas, who, if you're not telling me this wasn't planned out, that day was the 45th anniversary of that song
Oh,
being
nice,
released.
nice.
Yeah, because I was like, why is all these people retweeting Kansas like during like the pay per view? And then I was like, oh my god, they're referencing AEW, but they're happy that they're like, I guess people were downloading it or something, and it must have
Nice.
like, but yeah, they must have actually noticed a spike in their popularity.
Apparently, the Bucks have been wanting to use that song for a while. Like I think they used it
Yes,
in like when they were starting
Indies.
out in the Indies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, because it was their dad's favorite song, I believe.
nice.
So it was amazing. Uh,
In terms of matches that were going to follow that cage match, this was kind of the only one that could.
yeah, I mean, you had to, because you had to surpass that match
Right.
somehow, and the Elite just coming back. I mean, you know what I didn't notice until today, when I was watching uh, the replay of this match. Did you notice that the Bucks gear? It was the AEW logo in the AEW font, but the A and W were missing.
Oh no, I didn't even
It
see
was,
that.
yeah, and it didn't say All Elite Wrestling. It just said Elite, and
Oh,
then they
nice.
had the E that from the AEW. So like, as much as like their commercials were erasing it, I guess they were saying that they were bringing it back.
Nice.
So I, yeah, thought it was nice little wink and nod to their gear.
They're full gear.
Their Full Gear, that
Yes.
is correct. And again, all these six men went Full Gear because this match was, it was total insanity. You could watch this match 10 times and catch 10 new things each time.
It
Like,
was so good they should do it minimum 6 more times.
and you're going to get it too, because it's definitely going all seven. I mean,
Yes.
I was thinking of this earlier. A sweep would be awesome though,
It really would be. Like it'd be fun to see it happen.
because everyone's like, well, obviously they're going all seven, right?
Right.
So if you just did a sweep, that would be sick. But
Yeah.
um,
Because
anyway,
if the seventh match happens, it'll be in California. I feel like they're definitely going to 7 because they're not
yeah,
gonna unless
and
you cost the Bucks the big match in California.
yeah, and we'll get there. We'll get on what we're
Yeah,
talking
we'll get
about
there
with the
later.
7 matches here
Yeah.
in a second.
We'll talk about this
Because
one first.
oh yeah, um, like I said, I've watched this match twice now and the highlights a few times, and I'm just picking stuff out. Um, I really, in the future, I want to see Ray Phoenix versus Nick Jackson
Oh yeah.
in in some sort of like gimmick match. Like I want to see them like in a tables match or like a ladder match, because just those two, I that would be insanity.
Yeah.
Um, the crowd, they started and they were sitting, which this had to feel so good for, like, well, all six of them honestly, but the Elite, just knowing that the past 8 weeks haven't been for naught.
And
They
there were
still.
some anti CM Punk chants as well, just in case.
Oh yes, oh yeah,
Yes.
we're getting there. once the crowd stood, they just kind of, instead of the normal CM Punk chant, we got it was just FCM Punk. It wasn't
Yes.
FU CM Punk.
Yes.
Okay, it was yeah. But I mean, the whole arena was chanting FCM Punk for a solid 45 seconds,
Yes.
which mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, mission
I was thinking, and I know, and
accomplished.
we'll probably talk more about this later, but I'm
Yeah.
interested to see, because Dynamite is in Chicago.
Yes.
I'm interested to see what reaction the Elite get there.
Oh, they're gonna get destroyed, and that's why it's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best promo ever.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be, they're gonna get the reaction. If it was anywhere else, the reaction they would get would be 1,000% positive.
Right.
They still want to be heels, so they're gonna come back. Oh, boo hoo! Look
Right.
at us. Well, of course, the crowd is gonna be just chanting CM Punk at the top of their lungs. And if they're not, I will be totally surprised. Like,
Yes.
I've eaten my words on this show many times now, and I'll gladly eat them again, because if they somehow could turn the city of Chicago against, that's magical.
We've said it a million times, and work, shoot, whatever.
Right, whatever.
All of them have to recognize how successful a feud could be. Like,
yeah,
look at the chance they get in this match, anti CM Punk chants. No one can watch that and go, oh, we don't need to do anything else.
Right.
Like, any professional wrestler, anyone in wrestling sees that.
Yeah.
Anyone running a wrestling company sees that and goes, oh, we have to have them have a match. Eventually, they have to have a match. Like, we'll do something to make them have a match. Like,
right.
And
right.
I mean, wrestlers who hate each other have wrestled each other before. So,
yeah.
And successfully. Like, there's very few instances of wrestlers, going off script and like hurting each other. Like, that really doesn't happen.
Yeah, because you don't want that stigma to follow you, because you don't work anymore.
Right. So even if they absolutely hate each other, how you can't hear the reactions that they're getting and think that, oh yeah, we could do a lot with this.
Yeah. I mean, literally anything.
Yeah, I really hope whatever it is, I hope they calm down, and I hope time passes a little bit, and then they realize, oh yeah, we could just make this a great match. We could just make this a legendary feud.
Yeah. Or, I mean, maybe not even let them initiate it. Like, I think it'd be awesome if, like, Punk just, like, I don't want to say people forget about him, but, like, just wait till after the new year, slowly bring Punk back, and then just boom, like, all of a sudden, don't even tease it. Just kind of like, tease it as in, like, just mention him, but then he just, boom, he's there.
Yeah.
Like, not like coming next week or.
Right. I think they are definitely testing the waters. Like, they don't explicitly mention his name, but they're alluding to him a little bit more here and there. And I feel like that's on purpose. That's we're going to see how this works. Like, do people really, like, are people sick of him? Do they not want to see him at all? Or are they still interested? And they'll make a decision going from there.
As soon as that music hits, people are going to be interested.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I have nothing against CM Punk. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying, like, even I could say that would be awesome, but that would be incredible.
Yeah.
It would, just hearing that music people are going to forget a lot of stuff real fast, especially in the wrestling world. Things will be forgotten very fast.
And if there is something that they can't overcome and they just can't, like, say we never see, like, the internet rumors, we never see CM Punk wrestle again, like, that would just be not even as like, I like CM Punk as a wrestler, but even as someone who doesn't like CM Punk, like, it would just be a shame to not capitalize on any of this.
Oh, totally. And I mean, it's printing money.
Right.
You're going to bring in, I mean, just the buzz. I mean, look, it's still being talked about.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That was 2 months ago. Like,
some things can't be fixed, but I can't see this being one of those times. Like, this was an argument. This was two groups of guys who probably don't
knew each other.
didn't know each other before this. And
Right.
yeah, maybe they don't like how the other group works or how the other group acts backstage or whatever. But this was like guys getting in an argument backstage
Right. I mean, this wasn't even
over wrestling. Like they weren't even arguing about. It's not like one of them,
right.
insulted the other one's family or anything, right? They're arguing about wrestling.
Right. And like it's not even like a Brett and Sean thing. This is a one-off deal. Like
Right.
Brett and Sean had like a decade to get a hatred brewing.
Yeah, and they've known each other forever. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a disagreement that ended poorly, per se, but if it ended poorly, well, everybody was. I mean, they're grown men. Like,
right.
Honestly, we're probably over it in 20 minutes and sitting at catering laughing like, hey, if we turn this into something,
right. And if you're not over it in 6 months, that's something that you have to figure, like, what's wrong with you at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, then it's on you.
Yeah.
I mean, CM Punk tried to become a professional fighter, so if I think he can dissimulate between the two worlds. So
anyway, back to the match.
Anyway, back to the
great match. I don't want to overlook it because it was great.
Oh no, totally great.
It wasn't even just like it was like the Jungle Boy match. I thought it wasn't just like they can obviously do crazy things, all of them, and did, but it wasn't just a crazy spot fest match. Like it also had a great story at every step of it.
Yeah, and they took you on an awesome ride. I mean, there were like it's just much they bring you up and then boom they bring you down, and it was so fun. It was they earned their "This is awesome" chant, and when Nick Jackson, again, this is the second Nick Jackson shout out. Thanks for listening, Nick. When he did his Hurricane Corona off the top rope, and it was Penta. I think it was Penta, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
And then put Penta onto like the other four guys. That was unreal because that had to be scary because so much could have went wrong, but it was incredible.
Yeah, I mean the knock against the Bucks and their style is that it's very choreographed, but I find they're getting a lot better at. I guess their spots are still choreographed, but they don't take 5 minutes to set it up. They kind of they're obviously paying attention. They're obviously watching where everybody is when they do something like that. But it happens a bit more spontaneously now. They're not just like, oh yeah, clearly we can see what you're going for because everyone's standing in a very specific position. Like they do a much better job of it now, and it looks great.
Yeah, like there was reason why there were guys out because they were fighting.
Right.
Like it wasn't just like, oh, turn around, he jumped on us.
Yeah.
This was just very well done. Okay, honest opinion, putting you on the spot. Thoughts on the ending?
I liked it. I thought, and I have thoughts that I want to talk about another match later. But this ending, I thought was really good. I know Pac has a weird obsession with a hammer, which is it's not even the most effective ringside weapon you could use.
Very true. Very true.
But putting that aside, I thought it was really good because not only did they do the ending where Rey Fenix didn't want to use the hammer and then did because he was up for the one-winged angel and had no other choice,
right?
But to use it. Why he couldn't have just punched him in the head, I'm not sure. But that was good. But I really liked at the end where he was a little down on himself, and Penta and Pac were like, "No, you had to. That's good. Like you did what you needed to do. Like it's okay. You're gonna be that was the right thing. Like I really liked that because they were supporting their friend / relative, but also still kind of manipulating him to be like, no, it's the right thing to do. Like it was, it was good. I really liked it, and especially because then they decided that there's going to be more matches.
Well, yes, Death Triangle gets the heel win, and then we learn it was later on in the show. It wasn't like right away,
right?
We learned later on in the show that they were. Is it starting this week?
Yeah, I think it starts on Wednesday.
Okay, it starts on Wednesday. They're doing a best of 7 match series between now and Winter is Coming.
No, I think the one I don't know which show, but it would end if they did 7. It would end in California.
Yeah, it ends.
And they've clarified that the titles aren't on the line in the other matches. They were on the line in this match, but then the rest of them they're not on the line, and it's just whoever wins 4 wins the titles. It's not like each match we could win and lose the belts.
Oh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that wouldn't make sense because I mean, yeah, then the Bucks would technically have to win the belts 4 times.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're not doing
okay.
that. The titles were on the line in this match, and then
Okay.
they're not on the line again until someone wins 4 matches.
Okay. So yeah, they're doing a little world tour here.
It'll be a little interesting, like not a little. It'll be very interesting to see how they do 7 matches, because they're probably going to go 7. How they do 6 more matches,
yeah,
without getting repetitive.
Yeah, and the only thing that I can think of is that every time Death Triangle wins, it's because of Ray Phoenix. It's a new way for him to survive / cheat.
Right.
Like that's the only thing that I can think of, because then you're just obviously the Bucks, like someone's going to win the first one, then someone's going to have to come back because they are going 7.
Right.
So
I mean, an interesting wrinkle is that the fact that this week's in Chicago. So, I mean, as much as Death Triangle were the heels last match,
true.
The Bucks could play the heels this match, and it'll be a different spin on the match.
That is very.
I mean,
true.
These are all very creative, innovative guys. So I'm sure they'll do a lot of cool, like make each match unique. But doing anything 7 times runs the risk of it looking kind of the same after a while. So I think they can do it. I'm not doubting any of them.
No, if there's 6 people that can pull it off, it's these guys, and it's going to be so fun to watch.
Do you think this ends with Death Triangle? Just like, Ray Phoenix is going to be, obviously, like you said, integral to all of this. Does he fully go bad and just decide that he's cheating, or does this cause a rift? Like, do they break up?
No, I think he goes full heel, because now that the Bucks are back, the tag division can go back kind of on track a little bit,
right?
And we need more. Well, I'm not a part of this. They need more heels in the tag division right now.
Right.
In my opinion.
I agree. Yeah.
So you keep Penta and Ray as heels in that division. That would. Then obviously they're in 2 divisions as heels. I mean, that works out for everybody.
Right. I think that works for sure.
So, moving on, the TBS Championship. Miss Jade Cargill, who was a Thundercat.
Yes.
I'm gonna have some thoughts on that in a minute here. Versus Nyla Rose, who was the air quotes champion.
Yes. I loved her. I love their entrance with the lowrider and Vicky with the Eddie Guerrero shirt. That was great.
That was so great. And my only complaint, I'm gonna complain on this, but this is just me being old. I didn't like that Excalibur told you why they were doing that.
Right.
I felt that you should have known that.
Right.
But I'm the old guy, so that's really not me complaining about it after I realized my wrong. But
right. I mean, it's kind of like a 12-year-old, 15-year-old reference. But yeah, I understand.
Yeah, but whatever. But Jade's outfit, as you brought up during the match, you asked if she had on like tights or if her legs are painted.
Yeah,
her legs are painted. Totally could have been solved with tights. That's all
right.
I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I just don't know why you would do that. Why would you be like, I'm gonna paint my entire and the paint stayed on. I was surprised. Like,
yes,
it didn't rub off all over the place. Like, when like Sting or Dustin Rhodes wrestles and their paint comes off like 5 minutes into the match.
Yeah.
Her paint stayed on. Like, they did a good job. But yeah, why not just wear yellow tights? Like, there's no need to paint your entire legs when you could just wear tights.
Yeah, it was. But hey, whatever. It worked, but it was kind of a funny way to do it.
Yeah.
I really liked that this match was like a slow and methodical type head game match.
Yeah.
I mean, they were obviously playing head games with their promos going into it, but myself included, everyone thought it was like Jade was just going to rush in and just it was going to be a brawl.
Right.
And when it wasn't that, I thought that was a nice little curveball, and it made it a little more fun.
Yeah, and it was what it needed to be, especially because, and I'm not saying not knocking the match, just especially because the first 2 matches on the card were like a cage match and a crazy trios match.
Well,
like they were off the chart craziness. You do need to slow things down. And this wasn't like a break match. Like it wasn't one that you wanted to miss, but it did kind of, okay, we can't go that fast, that speed all night long. Something needs to slow things down a little bit. And this was a good match to do that.
Yeah. And I even wrote in my notes, it is Nyla gonna officially go full blown babyface now? Like she dipped her toe in and it went really well.
Yeah, I feel like they're both essentially baby faces now because Jade is over as a face. I'd say
she is.
And yeah, Nyla's too entertaining to be a heel. I mean, heels are entertaining sometimes, like we say, like The Rock was entertaining as a heel, but
yes,
he got cheered, right? Like Nyla's gonna get, she's funny, she's gonna get cheered. Like she's too entertaining for people to boo her now.
Yeah, I was on the I was on Mastodon yesterday. Today or yesterday. I don't know, I've eaten a lot of food in the past 2 days. A lot of it's a blur. So that's no lie. But I was on the Mastodon network, and I just searched AEW, and some random dude who again, I didn't write it down like I should have, brought up a good point. He said Nyla would be awesome for the JAS.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, same here. I was like, oh my god, why didn't I how did that never cross anybody's mind?
Yeah, that would be great.
She would be. I mean, I don't know what you would do with Vicky, because I mean, I guess she could still be there, but Nyla and the JS would be wonderful.
Yeah, she's similar to like 2.0, where they're just funny. Like they can just be obnoxiously funny and like do great performances. Yeah, that would work out really well.
Yeah, I kind of want to see this now. I mean,
yeah,
I know I always complain that too many people are in groups, but
yeah,
and especially Jericho's group, like he gets everybody,
right?
But I want to put one in now.
Yeah, Nyla, like she has to keep being, like she's obviously being herself now. She's funny, she's entertaining. Like she has to keep doing that.
Yeah, and it's all just too good. Like she's too good at it.
She's really funny. Like she's just legitimately funny. She's not trying. Like she doesn't even seem like she's trying hard. She's just funny. Like that's just who she is. So yeah, keep that going. I want more of that.
Yes, but yeah, she has to. She did her job too. Jade gets the clean win and the belt back.
Yes.
I thought the ending was really cool with the, like, they kind of gave each other's like signatures / finishers. It was really cool. They went back and forth with it.
This match was exactly what it needed to be. They both did their job. They were both and they both, I think, come out of this feud better. Like Jade needed kind of an obstacle after squashing pretty much everyone. So Nyla was a good, a tougher hermatch for her. And then Nyla comes out looking way better because previous to this, like Nyla wasn't really doing much of anything, and now she's upgraded herself quite a lot. So they both benefited a lot.
Totally. And this match caused me to stop keeping score in our game. By this point, you were up 3-2.
Yes.
And I conceded because everything else we had picked the same. So you had the in the NHL they call it the worst lead, which makes no sense to me because you're winning by more. But you had the 2-goal lead. And I couldn't do anything about it. So congratulations, you win Full Gear.
Thank you. I went Full Gear on that competition.
Yes, you did. You totally Full Gear on the competition. If I had fun with that. If you want to keep doing it,
I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah. And I was maybe next time, instead of putting you on the spot, we'll just, so we can't influence each other, we'll like give each other homework before.
Good idea. And
then just go through it, because like a lot of these were like, if I went first and you were thinking one way, I could have influenced you, like because we had so many that were the same. Probably we lived, but whatever. Anyways, Jade, she wins, she gets her belt back. And before we move on, I just my question for you, what do you think's next for Jade?
I don't know what's next for Jade. I do at this point now think that they're gonna wait till Statlander comes back to beat her.
I think so too. I
Because
think that's
I
pretty
saw
much
something about Statlander today being like, I'm still not cleared, but I'm working at it. Like, I don't think she's that far. Like, she's probably a few months away. And
Oh, okay.
I think they can stretch Jade out for, if it's 3 or 4 months, I think they can do that.
Right, especially like Jade is she's like I mean, you can, yeah, tripping over my words here. You can compare her to like an MJF. Like, even we just talked about it last week. Um, Spoiler alert: he won the belt. Um, I mean, if you made it this far, you're an hour in. You know how it ends. Um, he's not going to be one. He's not going to be Mox. Like,
Right.
and I wouldn't expect him to be. That's not like him, and
It
that's
doesn't
not
even
like
work for
Jade.
him. Yeah.
Right, and the same with Jade. Jade, she's more of an attraction. She's more of somebody you let someone get under her skin because at first they're not going to, and then they're like that just annoyance, and then she gets mad and then annihilates.
Yeah. And at this point,
So
that's
yeah,
the correct path because like she's beaten everybody. Right. So
right,
why should she waste time fighting whoever
right,
when she doesn't need to, unless they really annoy her. So yeah, they could spend some more time having people just bother her till before she gives a match. Yeah.
and and that makes it like you're going to see maybe more people like Nyla Rose, like how this benefited her
Yeah.
because people saw another side of her. Like, if we see another side of uh like Layla Gray or any of
Right.
the other baddies or
Yeah.
Kira Hogan or someone, it'll just be neat to see because it'll be an organic thing. Like,
Yeah.
are you like I could just see Jade being like, "Are you still? Who are you? You've been here like for the past 3 weeks."
Right. Yeah.
And then they
Yeah, like
like
they
introduce,
kind of did that with Willow. Like Jade was
yeah,
like, "You already beaten you twice." She's like, "Maybe you can't beat me 3 times." Like I liked that.
yeah,
I want to know
um,
where they go with Nyla though, because AEW for all the things it does well, they don't do a lot. I mean, not just the women's division, but with more so in the women's division than in the men's division. They do have a tendency to once someone's storyline is done, they just kind of like forget about them for a little bit. And in one
yeah,
sense, that's good because Nyla's been on TV for a while. Like now she'll get to take a break, which is, I'm assuming she'll get to take a break, which is,
right,
good for everyone to take breaks. But
yeah.
there hasn't been, outside of Britt Baker, there hasn't really been any women's feuds that don't involve a title. So I wonder what they're going to do with Nyla after this.
Um, I, that's a good question. Put her in a JAS.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that would work.
Yeah.
I'd be
They could just
totally
let her
okay
cut
with it.
promo. Like she doesn't even have to wrestle. They could just like let her do skits, like let her be funny. And that's good.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, because like, and then she could be like the kind of like what we said before, like with Danhausen, like just let her be this like happy-go-lucky thing that you really have to get under her skin, and she'll be like, okay, you know what, I'm just shut up,
Right.
meet me out there in two
Yeah. And she
minutes.
could clearly like she could work that part. Like she can clearly look like someone who can destroy you.
Yeah, right, and
But the rest of the time she'd prefer to like make jokes and like make
yeah,
fun of you,
yeah,
not like wrestle. Yeah, I think that would work.
that would totally work with her. And hey, again, the more you could be on TV and the less physical you could be, that's the longer you can do it. So,
Right. Yeah.
um, but yeah, that the women's division is very interesting right now, and that's a very good thing.
Yes. It's
Uh,
definitely for there's still flaws, obviously.
oh yeah, obviously, yeah.
But it's you can tell that they're putting an effort into it, which is a lot more than you could say for them, maybe a year or so ago. So it's
True.
definitely going somewhere.
Uh, yeah, it's it's. I mean, it's the division itself is just very interesting right now, and there's people that should be coming back soon. Like people forgot, myself included, about Layla Hirsch. I made a note
Right?
about her. She should be coming back soon. Um, uh, I always forget her name. Pardon me. Stir it up, girl.
Red Velvet.
Red Velvet.
Yes.
Uh, she should be coming back soon too.
Yes.
So those are two more quality people to add
And the bunny,
to.
the bunny will be back. I think she was supposed to be back, but it sounds like she had like a flu or something because it didn't sound serious what she had, where she couldn't wrestle,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah,
something. So she'll
yeah.
be back.
She'll be back. She was out making movies, so that was cool for
Yeah,
her.
Penelope Ford hopefully comes back at some point. She's been doing really well.
She was just on Dark. I
Oh,
watched
okay,
Dark
that's good because I
earlier
know she was
tonight.
injured. Like she was pulled from a show with an injury, so it's good that it wasn't that
Yeah,
bad.
and yeah, she wasn't on Darker Elevation last week, so that means she was at um let's see, Dark. That's before. Well, everything was live last week, so she was probably there all week.
That's good.
So that, yeah, that's good. Um, moving right along, we had the four way for the Ring of Honor World Title: Jericho versus Sammy versus Claudio versus Danielson. Ian Riccaboni on commentary. Bobby Cruz, your ring announcer. Uh, I made the note to. I don't care what anybody says. The Judas entrance, it still is incredible. It
Yeah, I
is,
mean it's over. Like just as an entrance,
yeah.
like it's over. So
It's if that song wasn't written for this specific reason as his entrance music, then he's a bigger genius than
yeah,
because that's the perfect entrance music.
yeah,
Um, but when this match started, it started exactly how everybody thought it was going to start. Sammy went after Danielson, Claudio went after Jericho, and it was just pandemonium until the end, pretty
yeah. It
much.
seemed like to me this match, and I'm not saying it's a negative. I like this match. I thought it was really good. There were like two distinct phases of the match. Like you're right. The beginning started off what you would expect: the JAS against the BCC, like kind
Yeah,
of sticking to their teams. And then about halfway through, they were like, "Oh wait, no, we all need to win." And
yeah,
then there was a moment for both teams where they're like, "All right, well, the Danielson Claudio was more of an amicable one, being like, okay, it's us against each other
yeah.
now."
Like, and
Whereas then the Jericho Sammy was more of a argument, and it was a great match. I like this match a lot.
it was a very good match. It told a heck of a story, and like, well, for what you just said right there, like, of course the BCC guys, like, in character, um they fight each other all the time, so they would have no problem fighting each other.
Right.
The elephant in the room was how was Sammy going to react with Jericho, and
Right.
I thought they did. I thought it was really cool how they did it.
Yeah, they did it really well. They didn't. It wasn't like I. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have thought that they would do it this way, and that's not a negative. That shows that like they're better at this than I am, obviously. But they did a really good job of like it didn't. They didn't immediately turn into like
Right,
rivals. They still
right.
kind of okay. We both want to win, but in the meantime, we'll try to work together as we can. But we both want to win. Like it worked out really well.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, this match was a lot of fun. It
Yeah, it
was,
was definitely like an entertaining. Like it was fun. Fun is a good word for it.
yeah. They literally just went in and beat the heck out of each other for a solid 25-30 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, uh when Claudio threw Sammy towards the end of the match, I I literally cringed because Sammy does I mean, I love and slash hate when he does it, like that late tuck
yeah,
where it looks like he's literally going to land on his head, and
yeah.
he just tucks at the last second. Like, as soon as Claudio threw him, in my head, I went, "Oh, he's going to do the late tuck," because it was, it was
Sammy's a guy
awesome.
like Darby, where you're like, I appreciate it and it looks cool, but you don't need to. Like you can.
Yeah, yeah, totally. You don't need to, but it was pay-per-view, so
Yeah,
sometimes you have to.
and it still make like we're talking about it, so like
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
clearly did
job
its
well done,
job.
Sammy.
Yeah.
My question to you: do you think that the turmoil between Jericho and Sammy is being done on purpose to kind of get some people back on Sammy's side, like via the crowd?
Yeah, I was a little surprised by I don't get why people hate Sammy as much as they do.
Yeah, I don't know either.
We've talked about it. It stems more from like his personal life than it does from anything he does. I mean, he's a heel, but it stems more from his personal life than anything he does on screen.
Right.
I was surprised that the crowd, when he doesn't turn on Jericho, but him and Jericho had like their issues with each other in the match, the crowd was like solidly behind Jericho, which I kind of understand because Jericho's, the legend who's been there forever.
Right.
But I think that they were structuring it in a way that they were trying to make Sammy get a bit more sympathy, try to get him to be him to be the one who gets the cheers, and the crowd just doesn't like him, like they just don't.
Like I feel bad for him because I think it bothers him.
Yeah,
and like I mean, he understands it to the point of like he sees his paycheck every week,
and he'll go with it. He's not going to actively fight against it. Yeah.
But the fact that it's like, okay, this is getting old. Like, I want to come out and like it was so awesome before people liked me.
I do think like the match was structured like to make you cheer a bit for him, and then they still didn't. Like they still wouldn't.
Oh yeah, Sammy has some work.
Yeah, if he ever wants to get cheered, it's going to take a lot.
I mean, I don't see what people's problem is. It's stupid internet stuff, but like just get over it. He's an entertaining dude.
Right. Yeah. And to an extent, I mean, obviously people like who they like and boo who they don't like, and
absolutely.
That's always the case. But there are some times where where the storylines, just go with the storyline. Like the storyline is telling like they want you to boo Jericho.
Yes.
They're all doing their roles perfectly. The problem I had with like Cody's thing, he got booed and he like actively went against it, and like he wasn't performing his role that well, in my opinion. Like he wasn't making you care. But like Jericho is a good heel. He plays a good heel, and Sammy did a good job of like the smaller, younger guy standing up to like they were doing what they're supposed to be doing. And it is a little annoying. It must be annoying for them that the crowd just like wouldn't go with it because you know what they're trying to do. Just you like them all. You like them all enough. Like I mean, you like them in the sense that they're entertaining. Like you're not booing Sammy because he sucks. Right? Like you're booing him because you personally have some problem with him, but they're all doing their jobs like as they're supposed to. So kind of just go with it. Like he's supposed to be a heel. Like Jericho is supposed to be the heel here. So boo him.
Yeah, totally. And it just dumbfounds me. And then like his vlog gets like hundreds of thousands of views, so it's like do people like hate watch him? Like I don't get it. Like
it is, like I said, it's not like they're booing him because they don't want him on TV. Like there's some wrestlers that get booed because you're just sick of them and you don't want to see them anymore, or they're doing a bad job or whatever. But I don't think that's Sammy. I don't think people like his matches are good. He does a good job. And it's weird that he's not one of those guys who like gets booed when he comes out, but then he has a good match and like people cheer for it.
Right.
Like the Elite when they're heels, like they get booed showing up because they're but then like through the course of their matches, people like, yeah, that was a good match. I will cheer for I'll cheer for the spot, right? But like Sammy doesn't even get that. Like he could jump off a ladder through 4 tables and get booed for it. Like it's odd. It is Cody-ish. It's weird.
And it was ironic that we called him the new Cody, and he did and we said he did what Cody should have did. Maybe he did a little too good.
Yeah, he did go with it, which is what Cody should have done. But it's weird that like now he can't come out of it. Like now he's like,
which if Cody would have went for it and it would have stuck like this, would have been even funnier.
Yeah,
it would have been way more fun. Anyways, the ending of this match, I don't have a problem with it because it keeps the Jericho fighting all Ring of Honor former champions alive, which I'm going to get into my conspiracy theory here at the end. But I was honestly surprised that it was clean. Were you surprised that the Judas?
Yeah, I was surprised that it was clean. I wasn't surprised that Jericho won because you're right. They want to keep this going.
Yeah.
But I was surprised that it wasn't more shady the way he won.
Yeah, and
I thought it would be like a baseball bat or like something. Like there'd be something involved in it.
Which is, I mean, it keeps us fans on our toes though too, honestly. Because no one was expecting, especially a Chris Jericho clean win.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so that's going to lead me into my little conspiracy theory here. Jericho,
all right, go for it.
Win. He gets the win and he retains. So again, work or shoot. We're not going to get into the semantics of that. It is what it is, or was what it was. Now, if there is a problem with the Elite and CM Punk working together, I think this is their solution. And if it's not, fan of the show, Tony Khan, listen, no, just kidding. CM Punk, Chris Jericho, that could main event a WrestleMania. If you're looking to sell this brand and you can
and should have main
guarantee,
event in WrestleMania. They had a WrestleMania
and
match that didn't main event and should have, but continue.
there you go. You know, you're trying to sell the television show. If you have, like Tony Khan said, something big was going to happen at the beginning of the year. So if your something big is, hey, we're going to be on TNT or such and such channel at Ring of Honor. Oh, and our debut show is going to have CM Punk and Chris Jericho on it every week, and they go after that title. You can
Yeah.
sell.
Punk makes perfect sense to be the guy to take the title from Jericho.
Yes.
Like it makes too much sense.
Yes. I mean, he loves Ring of Honor. He basically built Ring of Honor.
And he's referenced it so much in AEW already.
Yes. I mean, come on. That's you get those teams apart. You let the dust settle, if there's even animosity left at this point. But yeah, Jericho and Punk can sell the hell out of Ring of Honor.
Yeah. And I recognize that to a lot of people we might sound like huge CM Punk marks, and I am, like I will say that.
I mean, you have the guy.
But yeah, if you have a CM Punk under contract, and he's still under contract despite all the rumors of him not being under contract, he is.
Correct. Yes.
And if he's willing to work for you, like the fact that he could, like, why would you not have him? Why would you not have him work in some capacity for something? Like it's right. If you had told people, first of all, 2 years ago, CM Punk's going to join AEW, people would think it was a huge deal, which it was when he joined AEW. And then to say, oh, but like a year later, they're just not going to use him anymore because he got in an argument with someone backstage. So he's dead to them now. They're just going to remove him. Like it sounds insane. And it would be insane. Unless there's something we don't know, like maybe there's something I don't claim to know anything about.
True.
Backstage, like maybe there's something that like they just can never work together because something happened. Maybe that's the case. But if the story of All Out is true and like CM Punk told them off at a press conference and that made them upset and they got in a fight, like that's not enough to never work together again.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, unless there is something else, it makes no sense that they couldn't overcome that. Like, obviously people have arguments at work and like they keep working together. So the fact that they couldn't seems ludicrous to me.
And just keeping them separate for now, like, which to me makes it even better because then you can play that there's no card.
Right. And Jericho Punk is huge. Like you said, like that's huge.
And if you're using, I don't want to call Ring of Honor a B show, but like say they're using it as a quote unquote developmental.
Right. Like it's not going to be at the same level as AEW.
Right. But if you have CM Punk and Chris Jericho as your main eventers for the first 6-8 months of your existence, all those people, even if that fades off into the sunset and they only get 4 months out of it.
Right.
But all those young people are going to get exposure working with people that are beyond professional wrestlers.
like the ROH pay-per-view that's coming up. It's on a weird time and it's in whatever. So I don't know if I'll order that show. Like I'm not sure. Right. But if they were like, oh, it's going to be headlining by CM Punk versus Chris, like I'll buy the show, and other people would too. Like it would work.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need that's your build up. You just announce when it's going to happen,
right?
And people show up. I mean, there's it makes too much sense, and that's where I think this is going. That's where I think it's going. Do you agree?
Definitely.
Disagree? Oh,
I agree.
Okay.
I definitely think that would make like Jericho, I don't know how many former ROH champions, and now if they're stretching it to all ROH champions, not just world champions, I don't know how many previous ROH champions are conceivably left out there for him to actually get matches with. That like people who could still wrestle and who aren't signed to other companies, and like there's not many. There's maybe 5 or 6. Like there's not that many guys who could wrestle him and seem like any source of a threat, right?
Well,
and
I was gonna say that's the thing too.
And I don't know how many of those 5 or 6 you could see beating him. Like if it's not going to be Danielson or Claudio or like Bandito, like who is it going to be that eventually beats him other than CM Punk?
Right. And
they're not going to sign Kevin Owens. Like that's not happening. So
and or Sami Zayn or
it's
So it almost has to be Punk at this point.
Right.
And that's hey, we'll see what happens. That's all we can do.
I don't want to drag this out because it's just getting into fantasy booking territory, but in my fantasy booking my fantasy booking mind, because I'm a giant nerd and I think of these things.
Absolutely.
My thought was CM Punk goes to Ring of Honor, beats Jericho, has the Ring of Honor title for a while, then one day comes back to Dynamite when Hangman's back and comes up and goes, "Oh, look, you don't have a title again, and I do." And just starts a thing between them. And I know that they have personal issues too, but like that, have Hangman beat Punk for the RH title. Like, go for it. Like, there's so many options there.
See, that's brilliant.
There's just so many places for it to go. And I know that we're harping on Punk today, but like, Dynamite's in Chicago, and they released some new CM Punk t-shirts, which even if you can say they're overstocked, like even if they printed millions of shirts and can't sell them, so they're going to sell them online, fine. But you don't do that 2 days before a show in Chicago and by accident. Like that's on purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Clearly.
Because I mean, his shirt was the first to sell out when I went to the Pittsburgh Dynamite.
Yeah. Why not try selling them at the show in Chicago? Before
like you have extra. Oh yeah, bring them to the shows in Chicago because they're going to sell out.
Right, and then you don't have to ship them places. Like yeah. That's not by accident. There's no way that someone put them up there and was just like, "Oh, we're in Chicago. I didn't even think of that." Like, no, that was on purpose. And that might not be a hint. Maybe he's not coming back.Maybe he's never coming back. But they did it on purpose. They didn't do that by that's not accidental.
No, it's definitely planned. Moving right along, we had the return of Saraya versus Pittsburgh's own Britt Baker.
Yes.
Obviously, Saraya gets the welcome back chant.
Yes.
Like, pretty much from the time her music hit, they were chanting welcome back. And of course, they had to do the next spot. I thought that was just dumb and predictable, but
like you have to do it. But
but you have to. I mean, you have to. But I'm gonna say, I mean, I know Saraya is only 30 years old, which is absurd. That WWE
she's wrestled for that long, and she's 30. Yeah,
and that WWE kept her off TV for 5 freaking years.
Right.
Like, that just wow. But it did not look like she has not been wrestling for 5 years.
No, she looked good. She looked
very good.
Like the last time I saw her wrestle, like she was similar. Like it didn't look any different.
It just, I wrote in my notes, how does WWE let her, like, she did everything in her power to stay there, and they did everything in their power to get her to leave, basically.
Yeah.
Like, how do you let that happen?
And like this match wasn't like a 5-star blow you away type match, but it was very good. And for someone who hasn't wrestled in a very long time, she didn't look out of sorts. She didn't look like she was slow. She didn't look like her timing was off. Like she looked good.
Yeah, there's only one way to go. If that's your first match, they're only going to get better.
Right. And obviously Britt did a great job too.
Britt, that was my next point of emphasis here. Kudos to Britt. Britt, you could tell, has been putting in the work. Britt looked, I'm honestly, to me, this was the most, like, this was 100% Britt Baker character. Like, she has now the wrestling and the crowd manipulation. She's the full package right now.
Yeah, she's. I understand people are sick of her to an extent. I don't think she necessarily needed to win like the Owen Hart tournament. I don't think that was
I agree with that.
necessary. Like I get
totally.
that caused some backlash, but she is their biggest star. Like she should be where it's like when we talk. I'm not saying she's at the level of CM Punk, but it's like when we talk about CM Punk, like or Bryan Danielson. If you have them on the roster, of course you're going to put them in starring roles. Like it would be silly not to. It would be silly to have Britt Baker there. I'd be like, oh, we're not going to have her on very often because we don't want people being annoyed by her. No, she's very good. Like she should be on TV a lot.
And her annoying people is her doing her job. So
yes, she's a heel.
So I mean, she's perfect. It's being done perfectly. The way that this match was delivered, as far as like the ladies in the ring, I also thought they told a wonderful story.
Yeah.
It was just back and forth, and it was the, my house versus your house, redemption versus I don't want you here, and they pulled it all off. It was very well done.
Yeah, and I saw a couple knocks, people knock. I don't necessarily agree with this, but I saw people knocking it, being like, "Oh, Saraya came in saying that basically you don't deserve to be on my level," and then winning proved that. I don't think it did.
No, I don't think it did either.
I think Britt has said. I mean, she said in the promos leading up to it. Yeah, she's only wrestled for 4 years or whatever, right? Like she's at 5 years. Like she's
right.
She's like she said her debut match was the same year Saraya had her last match. I think it was something along those lines. So clearly Saraya is the more experienced one, and Brett even being able to hang. It's like when Darby faced Punk, being able to hang with them and push them means something.
Yeah.
So the fact that Saraya is, one of the top women's wrestlers in the last 10 years or so, and Britt isn't at her level. So it made her look good too.
Yeah. And, Britt, she proved that, her spot, yes, it's hers, but she earned that. She deserves to be there.
Yes, definitely.
And obviously that was one of the points in this match too, was to get everybody over. And I thought they did just a heck of a job with it from beginning to end. And I was so happy that there wasn't that there was a clean win. There was
it wasn't like shenanigans or anything. It was just it was what it needed to be.
Yeah, Saraya gets the clean win, and personally, I thought that was going to lead to bad news for Jamie Hayter, but it did not.
It did not. That was one of the ones I got wrong. I was surprised by that.
Yeah. Speaking of getting it wrong, we pretty much gave the guarantee that this was never going to happen, and the TNT Championship match.
Yes, very surprised.
Very surprised, and we were very wrong.
Yes.
Versus Wardlow. Three-way dance, the TNT Championship. Just like every other match, these three brought it, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. Hobbs, he got the most out of this match.
Yeah. The point of the match and the point of both of them working with Samoa Joe is to get them both over. And they've done it. Like Hobbs has gotten himself over really well. Wardlow did some ridiculous stuff in this match that got him over. Samoa Joe ended up winning, but the other two both looked great.
Yeah. I wrote, the very first thing I wrote during this match is Hobbs is ready for the next level, and he's obviously now on the TNT Championship level. So, do you think he goes after Joe at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense for him to go there. I don't know which title. Like Joe also has the ROH TV title, so maybe he goes for that one.
Well, that's what I was suggesting. Do you think
Yeah,
Hobbs
that
is
would make
ready?
sense. I think I said a couple weeks ago, AEW's problem that it has is they have a lot of guys who I don't think are like gonna compete for the world title right now. Like they might in a couple of
Right.
years, but they're not going to be there right now. But they're too good for any of the other titles.
Right.
And I
Right.
think now Hobbs has put himself in that spot too. Like if he won the TNT title, it would be okay, good. But I think he's now better than that. Like he's pushed himself over, as has Wardlow. Like maybe Joe holding it will give it some more prestige and it'll be worth more when one of them wins it. Like beating Samoa Joe is a big deal, but it's a little odd. I don't know where they're going to go with Hobbs and Joe because they both deserve a lot, but I don't think either of them are going to win the world, especially spoiler alert, Max having it. I don't think he's going to lose it anytime. I don't think he's going to lose it anytime soon. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with Hobbs or Wardlow after this because they deserve a lot.
Yeah. Unless they, I mean, do you think the Dynamite Diamond Ring is deserved of them? I mean, Max has been the only person to ever win it.
Yeah.
But it's not that impressive to me.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just because Max has only won it.
Right.
Like, so I don't know. Do you think that helps, or do you think that's like below even a belt?
Yeah, I think it's below. I think beating Samoa Joe is probably bigger than that. So I hope Hobbs goes to ROH and beats Joe. I hope he goes to the ROH pay-per-view and beats Joe for the belt. That would be good.
I'd be totally down for that.
What happens to Wardlow, I'm not sure. I could see him go.
Same here.
I could see him going to a feud with Max, but not right now because I don't want Max isn't going to lose. So
right.
It doesn't help him to lose to MJF. He already beat MJF, so to have him lose is a little weird. I don't know where he goes after this.
Yeah,
I really thought what would happen is Hobbs would steal the belt, steal a win, and then he'd feud with Wardlow, and Joe would move on to something else. But clearly, that's not happening. So
we both thought that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they obviously have something for Wardlow, and Hobbs too, obviously. But it's just I can't think of anything for Wardlow, and like it'll happen. I'll be like, oh, why didn't we see that?
Right. And that's not a knock on the match. The match was really good. Like I like it.
Oh no, the match was fantastic.
I'm just like a little surprised by the way they took the title.
Yeah. It was just It was a good surprise. It was a good.
Like I was legitimately shocked when Joe won. I was like, "Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's how this is ending." Okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
I never would have picked that at all.
Same here. It was a good old-fashioned wrestling surprise.
Yeah.
Now, I know we say this every time someone wins a TNT title. I hope.
Yeah.
Because it seems to Wardlow has not had it all that long.
Right, and he hasn't defended it all that much.
Exactly. It's weird. It seems like they put it on someone and either they're defending it every week and people get tired of it.
Yeah.
Or they don't defend it enough and people don't care anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it hasn't been at a really good level since like Miro, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, Miro could come back. Maybe Miro feud with one of them.
Oh, I'll take that.
I just keep wanting Miro to come back. I like Miro. I'm sure he's out for a reason. Like whenever the internet gets mad at Tony Khan for not using someone,
yes,
they're probably out for a reason. Like Ricky Starks clearly had something because he wasn't. Yeah. They didn't have he had something not major but something that kept him out for a while. So when the internet's like, why aren't you using that person? There's probably a legitimate reason for it. So whatever the reason is with Miro, I don't know, but I want him to come back. Maybe he could feud with Wardlow or Hobbs.
I'd be okay with all that. He could feud with Samoa Joe too. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Moving right along. The match that had no business being as good as it was of the night. I'm going to give it that award. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett versus Sting and Darby. My very first note is he's 62. And that is how old Sting is. And he jumped off of pretty much everything and anything.
Really smart of them to make this a falls can anywhere, no holds barred type match, because
Yeah.
it needed it and it made it so much more fun.
Yeah.
I'm really mad at myself for not picking Sting to win the match, because of course Sting was going to win the match. What was I thinking?
Yeah, 100,000% Sting was winning this.
Yeah.
But nobody thought that, apparently.
Right.
Let's just put over Satnam Singh on the second time that he, like, his height and strength just, like, Darby goes balls to the wall, and he literally just caught him like he was a football and just threw him.
Yeah, him just catching people is great. Like it works so well.
Yeah, because like normally you have, like, again, no offense to Marco Stunt, just because I've seen Marco Stunt do this a million times. Like, Marco Stunt does that, and it's like a normal size guy catching them.
Right.
Satnam Singh does that with normal size guys.
Right. Yeah, like Darby's like not huge, but he's not tiny. Like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Um, I mean, obviously, I don't think Satnam Singh's ever going to be world champion, but I think Satnam Singh is going to be a very good professional wrestler.
Yeah, he seems to understand professional wrestling, like his role in it. He has a character, like it's not a huge character, but he gets his character. Like he gets what he's doing. He gets what his role is in, like he's not the typical big guy who has no personality. Like he manages to do a lot of things. And I know that's a weird compliment to be like, he manages to do things, but like that's what it is.
Yeah, it is totally what it is. I mean, there hasn't been a big man this interesting since, like, maybe Big Show. I mean, before that
makes
Kevin Nash,
that makes sense.
Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, he's at least piqued interest. Normally, when you hear these giants and they get that, like, I hate to say it because it is a stigma, because they get that moniker put on them, and then people are like, oh, well, he's just really tall. Well,
Right.
you said he was going to be the biggest thing in the world. Like, I don't know. Like, it's weird with really big people.
Yeah, it's hard because if you're 7 feet tall or whatever, like that has to be your gimmick. Like,
right.
Obviously. Right. But like, that's also not a gimmick, right? It's just your height. So
right.
You have to be able to take that and make it interesting, not just I'm tall. And I think Satnam Singh is managing to do that.
Yeah. And like you said, like, he is understanding his character, which I think that's why Paul White, aka Big Show, was so successful.
Yeah.
And he understood, no matter what he was doing. He understood heel. He understood being a baby face.
Enough that he could be a heel and baby face about 500 times.
Right. Like, yeah. But anyways, Sting is legit insane. The things that he is doing now. Like, Sting wasn't doing this stuff in 1991.
I know. I know. Sting at 30 wasn't doing any of this.
Yeah. And, like, same with Jeff Jarrett. Like, I mean, Jeff Jarrett didn't jump off anything, but he took it.
Yeah.
I mean, a human being jumped from like 15 feet onto you.
Yeah. That was a fun match. It was really good.
It was very fun. This really hyped the crowd up for, like, the top end of the card too.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett hitting Darby out of the air was probably the coolest guitar spot.
Yeah, that was nuts.
I'd ever seen him do.
Yeah.
It was just fun. All in all, good match. Sting and Darby get the clean win, but I will say they did manage to destroy Satnam Singh too.
Yes.
Which again I thought was cool, because it made him look. He was more menacing. Like, you didn't have to take him out. He wasn't part of the match, but you had to take him out if you wanted to win.
Yeah, and I like the Scorpion Death Drop, Coffin Drop combo they used. That was cool.
Super cool. Yes.
Darby's another guy though, where I don't know where they're going to go with him.
That's literally what I was just gonna say. It's they always do find something, but he's kind of in a spot right now. He was a great TNT champion, uh, but is he really ready for the AEW championship?
Yeah, and he's like eternally over. Like he can lose and it doesn't matter really. Like
True, that's true.
he's
Everyone
over
does.
always.
That is
Maybe
true.
he'll be in a feud with Max. Like I could see that. They've had good matches with each other. Like Darby wouldn't win, obviously, but I don't think that really matters. He's going to be over no matter what. So maybe that's what happens. I don't know.
That I would like to see that. I mean, they're both, both have been pillars of the company, so
Yeah.
that'd be very interesting. Man, or do you maybe see this going more with Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Jeff Jarrett. He came in and kind of was just like, we're gonna take over, it sounded like.
Yeah.
But then hasn't really mentioned that again since then. So I don't know if that's going anywhere, if that was just him talk. I don't know.
And also, it just dawned on me. I wonder if his character is a wink and a nod to CM Punk. And I also, because he's always yelling at like the people.
Oh yeah, that's
like,
true.
How
Yeah.
he yells at the media, like.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It just totally popped in my head. Like,
I could see that.
Even after that match, he was like, "You're telling me to leave? I'm not leaving. Don't tell me what to do." Like, it was great. And if that's his gimmick, where he just yells at like producers and and backstage people, I'm all in. The women's title match, the match that pretty much the internet was only going to accept one
Yeah.
one outcome on, which was kind of a surprise because I thought Toni Storm was a hell of a champion.
I really liked her title reign. It's kind of weird because of the interim nature of it all that none of this might end up counting. Like I found that that's a little strange. Toni Storm probably deserves better than that because she had a good title reign. She deserves to be the actual champion. But yeah, as good as Toni Storm is, as much as I like Toni Storm, I wanted her to win, but based on the reaction from the crowd, like people would not have accepted anything other than Jamie Hayter winning.
Yeah. And it looks like it's Jamie's time. So
yeah, I mean, nothing against Jamie Hayter. Like she's done a great job.
Absolutely.
I really liked this match. I thought this match was great.
Oh, this match was this. I'm going to put it up there. I'm going to say this was my personal match of the night. Like,
yeah,
I loved every minute of this match. That's my train of thought. The thing that I liked the best is they actually did the back and forth fighting like the right way.
Yeah.
Sometimes when people do it, it's like, okay, here it comes, because we'll just say we'll use this match as Jamie's been winning for too long. It's about time for Toni to turn
right.
it up. Oh, here it comes. This was more like booking it like an MMA fight. You didn't necessarily know when I mean, there were the turns, the back and forths, but they weren't like the timing was off, and it kept you on your toes. It was fun.
Even the finish with a lot of false finishes, like I liked it. Yes. I thought it was great.
Same here.
Typically you can overbook a finish like that and it can get annoying, but I thought it was perfect. It wasn't like a lot of matches you'll see where it's like finisher, kick out, finisher, kick out, finisher, kick. Like it wasn't that predictable. It wasn't that annoying. It was good. Like every time there was a false finish, I bought it. I was like, that's going to be the end of the match.
Yes.
And it wasn't the end. Like I believed it every single time. And I thought it was great.
It was done so well. Britt being the wild card, this was obviously this is not how this is going to end. It's
right.
She said it was Jamie's time, but come on. Is this where the feud goes next?
I was surprised that she helped Jamie. I thought it was going to be the opposite. But,
Same here.
But I really don't. You're right. I don't see her being like, now we're just friends. Like, no, Britt's planning something. Like there's something involved here. And I want to see it.
And I think you hit the nail on the head weeks ago whenever you said like it's going to be like all best friends stuff now, but like they're just going to be talking one time, and Britt's going to be like, "Oh, come on, Jamie, it's not like you're the real champion,"
Yeah.
and then it's going to go. Like I don't think they're
Yeah.
going to go at it right away, but I think you're right. Whenever Britt's going to say something where she'll diminish the championship
Well, I
reign.
wanted to be like, the on the show, The Office, where like Dwight is always like, "I'm the assistant regional manager," and they keep going
Yeah,
assistant to the regional manager. I would
right.
like to see that. Like, I'm the women's champion, interim women's champion. Just like Britt, just keep jumping in with like,
Every
it's interim.
that would be utterly hilarious.
Anytime she gets the opportunity for, like, you can't take the women's championship from me. Interim women's championship.
That that would be so good. Oh
But yeah,
man,
Britt did a great job. Toni did a great job. Jamie everyone did. Rebel did a great job. Like it was,
she did. She really did.
all of it was
Yeah,
great. This was a really good match. It was like
really good.
when I was thinking of match of the night, it was either the cage match, the trios match, or this one. They were all really good.
Yeah. Like I said, this was my match of the night. I enjoyed every minute of it. I enjoyed the build. I enjoyed the payoff. Uh, where does Toni Storm go from here?
It's a little tough because like she has a feud with Thunder Rosa, but Thunder Rosa's not around. She's not gonna go. She's a face, right? So there's not really many high level women's heels.
True.
Jade's not really a heel anymore. Nyla's not really a heel anymore. Britt's going to be involved with Jamie, so that's not going to.
True.
And every other woman heel is like the Bunny's a heel, but she's not going to. They'd have to build her up a lot for have her face Toni Storm.
Yeah.
So I don't know where she would go. I hope she sticks around on TV because she's really good. I think she will because she's really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they're going to go. Where do you think she's going to go?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think, and there's really nothing that. I mean, there's really nothing that makes sense at the moment, unless
And I mean, I
she's
think
just.
she has to stay face. I think she's too
I agree.
face. She's too much of a face. Like she can't really
Yeah.
be a heel. I don't think. Maybe she can, but I don't think she could.
Unless they just give her a couple weeks off, maybe even bring her back at Winter is Coming. That's in a
Yeah.
couple weeks, so not like a hiatus, but just miss a few shows.
Right.
Nothing major.
And I mean, she's been working a lot too, so she has earned the time
Yeah.
off. Like she's been on a lot, so
That's true. So maybe that is what they'll do. Maybe just
yeah.
give her a few weeks off here.
Let the internet flip out about where Toni Storm is.
Oh, how they're booking her wrong, and they don't know what they're doing with her.
Right.
The WWE run was better. All that. Yeah. What kind of champion do you see? Do you think Jamie's going to be like the open challenge type champion, or do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Champion? I think it's kind of her character to be like, I'm tougher and stronger than everyone. I don't care. I'll face anybody.
See, that's what I want to see. So I'm glad you said that.
And there's a lot of like face women's wrestlers who aren't like quite world champion level, but that she can beat up. Like I think she'll just beat up a lot of people. Like I think for a few weeks she'll like just have open challenges against people who you aren't going to win and just like beat them.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Yes.
I hope that's the type of champion she is.
And to the point where like Britt kind of gets annoyed that like she's winning so many matches or she's doing so well that like Britt is kind of annoyed at her.
See. Okay.
Like Britt gets a little jealous. Like, okay, like it was nice that you won the title, but like now you're looking too good. Why are you winning so many matches? Maybe slow down a bit.
Pegs here. Yeah.
Yeah.
See? Okay. Let's go with that. I'm good with that. We're getting to the top of the card here. The World Tag Team Championship match was next. The Acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory. Max's rap was probably the funniest.
It was really good
that he has had yet. So
yeah, really good. And like because he did it and it was like, wait, I have another one, and then did another round.
Yeah, that there was like the second verse made it even better. Talk about story. This match was a story within itself. Swerve in Our Glory had their disagreements leading up to this match, and the Acclaimed were trying to cement their championship reign because Swerve kept saying that it's semi legit, we'll say.
Yeah. I liked two things. I liked Swerve's character in this being like, no, like he stopped Keith Lee and made him do the fist bump. Like wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, we have to work together. Like, remember? I
Yeah.
liked that. What I really didn't like the end of the match. Like I really didn't like it.
Okay.
I don't know how you felt about it, but two things. One, you just said that the Acclaimed was trying to cement themselves and, you know, legitimize their role as tag team champions. They didn't really, because Swerve, like Keith Lee walked out. So they didn't actually beat
True.
the team, right? Like that kind of took a little bit away from it. I wish that it would have been like they had a clean win over them. And it was caused by a disagreement between Swerve and Keith Lee, but it wasn't like Keith Lee leaving. I would have preferred an actual win.
Yeah.
I also didn't like Swerve with the pliers, trying to get Keith Lee to use the pliers, because they already did that. Like that was also Pac and Ray Phoenix.
True.
It was very similar to be like, no, I cheated. You could, like, here, you cheat. Like they already did that, like at the beginning of the show. So this was a time where I thought people always complain about AEW not having like the wrestlers kind of write their own matches. They don't have writers,
right,
or showrunners who check over these things. I think this was a time when that would have benefited the show.
Oh, to just say, yeah, change this up a little bit.
Yeah, just to be like, oh, you can't have that ending. We already did that ending. So make it a little different. Like you could still have Swerve cheat and something, but like,
right.
Don't make it exactly the same finish. Not the same finish, but the same motivation. Right. Like I have a weapon here. I'll give it to you. What do you mean you don't want to use it? Like they've done that already. So that was that took it down a little bit for me. Like the match was fine. The match was good. It wasn't as good as the previous matches, but it was good enough. Swerve's a great character. Keith Lee is a great character. I want to see where they go. Like my problems with the match aren't big enough that like I don't want to see what happens. I just don't think it. Like I think they could have done the ending better.
Yeah, I can see that. I personally liked Keith Lee just leaving.
Yeah,
because I thought that was like the most Keith Lee thing.
Yeah, that it does fit his character to be like, oh, I'm just done. I'm just like it makes sense.
But I totally see where you're coming from though. Like I could totally see how it like took you out of it.
Yeah, and the Acclaimed haven't like. First of all, I think Keith Lee was the legal man when he left too, which kind of bothered me.
He did. Yeah, he did say that.
I'm pretty sure he was the legal man. Then he left, and then Swerve became the legal man. Like they should have had him tag out or something. It doesn't really matter, but because it's not. Like, but it was a little annoying. I would have liked it more because the Acclaimed haven't. Like they're the tag team champions right now, and they're the most over team, maybe. But can you really call them the best team in AEW at this point? Like, the Bucks are a bigger team than them? FTR is a bigger team. Like, there's other teams that.
Yeah.
And the Acclaimed haven't beat any of them or had matches with any of them, so it would have been a little bit better for them to just go over cleanly over a team like Swerve and Keith Lee, and then have them have their disagreement and Keith Lee walk out or something. Like they kind of did back themselves into a corner with trying to do the breakup and the Acclaimed victory at the same time.
True. That all makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I never looked at any of that from any other perspective, and so now I'm torn. Because, like I said, I liked it.
Yeah,
you just explained it.
I mean, it made a ton of sense for Keith Lee. Like, it made perfect sense for him to be like, Swerve, you're being annoying. Stop being annoying. I'm just leaving. Like, it made perfect sense for him. Like that. That's how Keith Lee, the character, would have handled that. So it wasn't out of the ordinary for that to happen. I don't know. I don't know how else I would have done it though. So it's not even like I can say, oh, they should have done this. Like, I don't know how else I would have done it. Because you do want them to break up, but you also want the Acclaim to go over. So
that's true. My next question for you is, what is next for the Acclaim?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. FTR?
Yeah. I mean, you would think, because like obviously the Bucks aren't gonna go for the
right.
tag title. Sorry, because I kept thinking trios, but no,
Yeah, because
they're going for
they're
the
already
trios.
going for the
Yeah,
trios title, so they're not going to
yeah,
go for the tag titles.
yeah,
But it is weird that AEW has a lot of tag teams and a lot of trios teams, but right now it seems like they don't. Like I don't know if that makes any sense.
yeah.
Like it
It
seems like
does.
they don't have very many teams to go against the Acclaimed when like no, they have a lot of tag teams. I just can't think of them right now. Like it's a little
Yeah,
strange.
that is. And I can't think of anybody who's like on that level that's ready. Like,
And they'd have to be heels. Like it might be they'll probably do something with the guns. Like they'll probably have something with them.
oh, okay.
But I can't see that being like a long because they already had a feud with the guns, so I can't see that being like a big thing. And who else is there who's a heel? Like there's Top Flight, but they're not heels. Like the Acclaimed have to
Yeah,
go against heels because they're so over. But I
yeah.
don't know who it would be.
Um, House of Black.
Yeah, I guess possibly.
I mean, that would be a very, very interesting clash of styles.
Yeah, and I guess the Acclaimed, like I would want the Acclaimed to go over, but would they go over House of Black? I don't know.
Yeah, that's that. I don't know. But anyways, just to finish up on this match, uh, when Keith Lee went through the guardrail, I
Yeah.
I could not believe that a human being did that. I don't care if that thing was gimmicked or not,
Yeah.
but that I don't care. That looked painful because I mean, you can say what you want, like, oh, that was fake or whatever, but it held a human being's weight before somebody jumped through it.
Right. So it was strong enough
Like,
to do that. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, there was still. I mean, that thing wasn't made out of like crayons. Like
Right.
that thing was. Anyways,
And I really want to see where Swerve and Keith Lee, like I want that feud. Like that's for everything I said about
yes,
the ending, like Swerve and Keith Lee's feud is going to be great.
it is going to be absolutely perfect, and heel Swerve is. I cannot wait to see where that goes.
Yeah, Swerve is going to be he's
a mega star.
we've said a bunch of times like he has
Yeah.
it. He is so
Yes.
he's a good
Yes.
wrestler, he's a good character, he's cool, he's a good speaker, he can do like evil like the Billy Gunn handbraking thing. Like he can be evil and creepy. He can be, cocky and he can do everything.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock against Keith Lee, who's also very good. Like they're going to have a really good feud.
Oh, yeah. And I hope it's drawn out. Like I
Yeah.
want them to have like almost like going back to the beginning of the show, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, like
Right.
that it ran its course, but every match was good and you needed that cage match. There was no way I mean, I know it's fake, but there was no way you were going to put them in a wrestling ring and you were going to get a definitive ending.
Right.
You had to have the cage. So
yeah, I could see because based on Swerve's history, I can see them having some like crazy stipulation match at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
To finish that feud off, and now I'm all for that.
I'm all for it too. So we finally made it to the top of the card, which we've spoiled like 9 times by now. But the AEW World Title match, Mox versus MJF. MJF cashed in the chip that he didn't really win, but that introduced us to the firm.
Yeah.
But what a match. MJF truly is the future, and this match really proved where he stands in this company.
I want to start off with who does the crowd think they are? Like I understand I understand like MJF is over, cheer for MJF, but chanting derogatory just this is Jon Moxley. Like who are you that you think you can curse out Jon Moxley like that? Like he's amazing. Cheer for MJF, but leave Mox out of this. He's better than that.
But Mox loved it though.
Yeah, I know. Did. But still, this should have been a match where both guys got like you don't need to boo Jon Moxley to cheer MJF. You can cheer for both of them.
True. But this match kind of had that Rock Hogan moment though.
Yeah.
I mean, there was clearly a shift in power.
Yeah. The match itself for me, I like the finish. I like the story.
Same here.
Maybe it's because it was late. I don't remember MJF doing much other than the pile driver on the tombstone on the apron.
That's the only thing I have wrote down.
Yeah,
so.
It was a little odd, and given the ending, giving how MJF turned out at the end of the match, it made sense.
Yes,
but to me, it felt like if this was the biggest match of his life, the biggest match of his career, I expected more of like a violent, like desperate brawl, and that didn't really happen.
Agreed. Yeah, this is more almost like mind games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally expected a different type of match. But
yeah,
I'm not going to complain.
I don't even mean this as a negative thing, but it seemed like I don't know, mid 2000s WWE main event. Like I'm not trying to insult the match. But just the way the match went, AEW main events seem to have more of like crazy high spots and violence, and this didn't really have either of those things. Like, especially for a match with Jon Moxley, you would have expected like insanity.
True.
And yeah, he was mean, like he was like biting and going after Lim, like he was, but it just didn't have the, I don't know, it was missing something. Like, maybe it's because I was tired, but to me it was missing like the brutality or the intensity or the anger that I thought I was going to get from this match. And the ending, because of the ending, it made sense. Like, it all made sense,
right?
But it's just not what I expected.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you. That being said, do you like the Regal turn?
Yeah, I do. I didn't think I would. I thought
Same
that like
here.
I thought that I wanted MJF to win it clean and like it shouldn't involve Regal, but like as it happened, I was like, oh, that was really good. Like, I liked it.
Yeah.
For me, this match was like the opposite of the tag match we just talked about. Like, the tag match, I liked the match, but the ending was, it kind of brought it down. This match, like, the match itself was fine, but like the ending was so good, it brought it up for me. Like, it ended on a really good note.
It really did. I mean, in typical MJF fashion, there were multiple multiple refs knocked out.
Yeah.
When MJF reversed the figure four, I thought that was a cool moment. But the Regal moment was the cherry on top.
What I really liked about it was Regal told him not to use the ring.
Right.
Which in retrospect, you're like, oh, why didn't he just let him hit him with the ring if he was going to cheat?
Right.
But I liked it because it was kind of just, I thought that was like Regal's last test.
True.
Like, okay, don't use the ring. Okay, you're willing to try without the ring. Okay, you've passed. Now now I'll help you.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he was willing to do it showed that he was ready, if that makes sense. Like, ready to have William Regal support him.
Well, I totally agree. My question for you is, where does this leave the BCC?
I don't know. I don't even know I don't think this will even lead to Regal coming out with Max. Like, I don't think he's going to be his new manager. I don't think that's happening. I think this is like, I think this was like Max, he always wanted the approval of William Regal, from what we can tell from his, promo that he gave.
Oh, true.
He always wanted the approval of William Regal, and he got the approval of William Regal. And now he's just going to be like, okay, but I don't actually need you. Like, I'm better than you.
Oh, man.
I don't need you. I just wanted to show that I could impress you. Oh, I could, so that I don't need you anymore. Like, I think that's the way it's going to go. I think he's better as just a jerk by himself, who's just a jerk. Right. I don't know where it leaves Regal at the BCC, though. I don't know. He can't go back to them. So I don't know what happens with that.
Interesting. See, I just figured Regal would be with Max now, but I never looked at it that way. That makes your way is way more interesting.
MJF is just such a jerk that I could see him doing that, being like, I don't actually need you. I just thought it would be cool to show that I could win you over, but I don't actually want you around.
Like the ultimate FU, because you didn't give me the correct time of day when I needed it. So
right. And now Regal kind of screwed himself, now being like, I made you screw over your friends.
True.
and now they don't want you, and I don't want you. So what are you gonna do now? Like he kind of reversed the roles of, you know, when Regal was in WWE and wouldn't hire Max and kind of just left Max to flounder on his own. He's kind of reversed that role now, being like, well, now I'm going to leave you. I don't actually need you. I just wanted to show you that I could win you over.
I'm all in on that.
I hope that's where it goes. I think that would be really cool.
I hope so now too.
Because Max is not going to be like, we thought he'd come out and at least for a while be a face. That's clearly not happening. He's going to be MJF. He's going to be the devil that we thought we were going to get, and he was pretending this whole time. I mean, I didn't watch most of the press conference, but I did see him at the end being like, what did you expect from me? Like, did you expect anything different?
Yeah, I mean, and makes perfect
and that's
sense.
kind of his, that's good. That's what he's going to come out with, I think, on Dynamite, being like, you actually thought I was going to win this honorably? You actually thought that I was going to be a good guy? I'm not a good guy.
Yeah, he should know better than that.
Yeah, maybe Regal stays with him and goes, well, I'm not maybe Regal stays with him and is like, well, I'm not a good guy either. You all always thought I was a good guy and I'm not. So I'm hanging out with a jerk because I'm a jerk. Like maybe that's where they go to. That could happen as well.
Very true.
But I don't know what that means for the BCC. What do you think?
See, I initially I thought that the BCC would be just over.
Yeah.
But it's so over.
Yeah, well, Mox is probably going to be out for a while because he deserves it. I think he won't be around for a bit. And then Danielson and Yuta still have their thing going on, right? So
true.
I don't know. Do they split up? Do they get new people? Do they reorganize? I don't know.
I don't know either. It's going to be interesting. They are very over. I would like to see them get a new member.
Yeah. Like, yeah, maybe Danielson works things out with Yuta and they drop it. Like, I feel like they might just drop the thing with Yuta. I don't know.
No, there's always that too. There's and see, this is the good thing. This is the perfect way that I wanted to sum up this pay-per-view. It left just enough opened where you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But it put finality to enough things that so many more doors just opened.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Regal and MJF, and like that's it. Like, and the BCC and everything. Like, yeah, you're right. The finality of MJF is now champion. That's the goal they were working for. But there could be so many things that happen now that MJF is champion. Now that Regal turned on Mox, and now that could be. There's so many things that could happen there.
Yeah, like so many seeds were planted along with the harvesting of the fruit from the seeds that were planted previous. Like this pay-per-view it physically ended their year. Like, I mean, to
the point that we don't even know like what happens to the BCC, what happens to Regal, what happens to we have no idea. So
I mean, like we could sit here and speculate, but literally after every match, we literally just speculated. There is nothing that is like super concrete other than the Bucks and Death Triangle's best of 7 series.
Right. But it's all somewhere interesting. It's not like they're just like, I don't know what's going to happen and I don't care. Like I want to see what happens with Toni Storm. I want to see what happens with Jamie Hayter and Britt. I want to see what happens with Swerve and the Acclaimed and Mox and Regal. Like I want to see all that stuff.
And like at this point we're just along for the ride and it's amazing right now.
Yeah. And for and this isn't even me trying to be a jerk. AEW has been knocked around a lot publicity wise since the Punk stuff and since Triple H came back to WWE and all that stuff. Like they have been knocked around a lot, and the ratings aren't as where they were. They're not bad. Like they haven't plummeted, but like they're not.
No. They're
slightly lower than they were before, right? And there's all the stories about it's taking longer to sell tickets and et cetera, which I don't even think is an AEW problem. I think that's like
I think that's like problem.
An economy problem, right? Like it's not, it's a Ticketmaster, like it's whatever. That's its own thing. But AEW has been knocked around a lot recently from every angle. Like their honeymoon that they've had for the first 2.5 years is done. Like people are mad at them now for various things, like whatever.
Yes.
But I think this show was back on track. Like this show was not only like, it felt like an AEW, like an older AEW show, but it felt like new things are coming. Like this wasn't like I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like the previous matches, the previous cards were all like for the first year, the card of Punk and Danielson, their selling point was we have Punk and Danielson, basically. Like that's all you needed. Like not to say that they didn't have good feuds or good matches, but they kind of sold everything on CM Punk's going to be there.
Right.
But this sold itself in so many different ways with so many different characters and so many different stories. Like they're back to the storytelling that all the injuries kind of stopped from happening. Like they've been able to tell really long stories now, which is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is basically what we would have seen throughout the summer.
Right.
You know, that, I mean, the summer that we couldn't have because of injuries, like we're seeing it all now. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. And it's such a breath of fresh air and it's so fun.
Yeah. And this, like the whole pay-per-view, like I know I sounded like I complained about it a lot, but
No,
I liked it. Like I think it was good. Like I liked the whole show. Like all of the complaints were like minor complaints. Nothing was like I didn't want to watch it. I don't like it. Like that was never that never came up.
Yeah, same here. I thought it was a great show. I wholeheartedly enjoyed it, and I mean, it's a new chapter, I guess, or I mean, definitely the year's over for them for AEW, but uh, the next pay-per-view, they didn't even announce it, did they?
I think they did. They announced it for like March.
Oh, they already did. Okay, well,
they did it in the post-show thing.
Oh,
I think.
Okay. See, I've yet to watch that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah,
March 5th in San Francisco.
Oh, there you go.
Revolution. So they have lots of time.
Yeah, lots of time to build things, and that's great.
I really want to see what happens with MJF, like where he goes, what he does. Like, I love Mox for all the greatness of Mox. MJF is by far the most interesting champion they've had in a long time.
Yes.
And the stories, the places he could take things, like I don't want to like gush about him too much, but I think I will. Like he's great, and it's going to be it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
I agree. These are people saying that MJF is too young and blah 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 blah, this that and the other. He's definitely not. He can handle himself. He's amazing on the mic. He works the crowd to point of, I mean, we talk about it all the time. He can come out being booed in the middle of his promo, he's cheered, and by the end the crowd hates him again.
Yeah.
That's who you want your belt on.
Yeah, and he can, I mean, he hasn't had too many like great matches, but he can. Like he had a match against Darby Allin, I forget when. That was excellent. Like he can wrestle. He just doesn't. Like he just doesn't need to. Like it's not in his and it makes sense in his character that he doesn't need to. Like that's his thing. That's why my knock on the match was he wasn't the, sort of desperate aggressive guy that I thought he was going to be. But the ending made it all make sense. Like, no, of course he wasn't. He's MJF. Like he's
right.
That's his whole thing. Like he doesn't do that, and he doesn't feel like he needs to, and that works. Like he's not going to be the guy who comes out every single week and has, a random challenge. No, he's going to wrestle when he needs to wrestle. I can see him being like not defending the title for a really long time until management makes him. Like that's just the kind of guy he is. Yeah, and I think it's going to be really. He'll be on TV, like he'll be cutting promos and stuff all the time. But I can see, Tony Schiavone coming out and being like, "Okay, management's told us you need to defend the title. You haven't defended it in like 2 months, so." And he'll be like, "What are you talking about? I don't need to do that. I'm MJF." Like it's going to be really, really interesting.
Very, very interesting. The winter is going to be so fun, and the holidays are going to be so fun with AEW.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, on that note, I think we covered Full Gear.
Yes. Well, one thing we didn't mention that we should mention is our best friend, our hero Takeshita is now all elites. That
is true. He is. The world is. See, he came back to the United States, and AEW went back to normal.
There you go. You just needed Takeshita.
Yeah, we just needed him to come back, and yeah, he's all elite. So
He's moving to the U.S. Apparently on his Twitter, he was
yes,
trying to find an apartment today. So there you
that's
go.
incredible. Yeah, he he tweeted out he doesn't know what he should do first: buy a car, get a place to live, or get friends. And people were like,
Nice.
well, yeah, and people were like, well, you should probably find a place to live before you buy a car. And he was like, okay. He was like so happy.
He's amazing. Takeshita's
He's
great.
he's totally amazing. Uh, I mean, he is going to be a world champion
Yeah, like
one day.
something would have to go really wrong for him not to be.
Yeah, he is going to be loved by everybody. He is
Yeah,
going to be by this time next year. He's going to be like he'll be like Danhausen level of like you're just going to say his name and everybody will know who he is.
right. And I mean, he's learning to cut promos. I mean, obviously English is not his first language, but
Right.
he started to cut some promos, but he doesn't even need to. Like he's good in the
No.
ring.
Yeah.
He looks good. Like he's a fun guy. Like everybody just likes him. So
Yeah.
I can see him doing unlimited number of things. Like I said to you, I think I want to see him in like the All Atlantic. Like he could beat Orange Cassidy. Like I'd be happy with that.
That would be
And
so awesome.
people like Orange Cassidy, but I think people like Takeshita more. So they'd be happy to see him win. Like and that could be if he's good. He is still under contract with DDT for Japan. So
Right.
if he's going to take the title to Japan, defend it there, even better. Like he can do so many
See,
things.
yeah, that would, yeah. Let's go. Let's go with Takeshita. I think he has a match this week, so
Here we go.
that'll be fun too. Um, okay. Well, on that, I think that's it, huh?
Yeah, I think we're good. That was a good show. Looking forward to Dynamite. Looking
Yeah.
forward to everything that's going to happen. I mean, like we talked about, we don't know what's going to happen, but it's all
Right.
going to be good from what I can tell. So like, I'm excited for all of it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm along for the ride. The next few weeks and leading to the end of the year are going to be lights out. They're continuing their must see TV.
Yes.
They said they wanted to create moments. Well, every week is a new moment, and you don't want to look away because you will miss something.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. So again, thank you everybody for the support. We've had followers now on. Well, we're everywhere, so we have followers everywhere. Uh, the Discord's been doing well. I mentioned Mastodon before. We are on Mastodon.
If you want to join the Discord, hit us up on anything on
Yes.
Mastodon or Twitter. And we're just not putting it out super public, but anybody who wants to join, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let us know. We'll send you an invite.
You can find all our stuff at elitecitypod.wordpress.com.
Everything is there. Just follow the links. Like, subscribe, comment. It helps us with the algorithms for other people finding us. So, yeah. Thank you again, everybody. Full Gear was a blast, and we will be back. Well, this was a bonus episode, so we'll be back with the normal episode. Probably by the end of the weekish, depending.
And
on
happy Thanksgiving.
Schedules.
In
Yes.
case we don't have a podcast before
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Happy thing. I'm in Canada. I've already had Thanksgiving, but I won't spoil it for you.
So did I.
It turns spoiler alert, there's a lot of pie and food.
Yes. I'm gonna eat another plate of food here in about 10 minutes.
Well, there you go.
That'll be my fifth one of the day. We had an early one with my family, so got to meet with the old man on Thursday. So
well, there you go. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone there.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And don't forget pre-Thanksgiving Dynamite. I know it's the night, the busiest night of the year. Everybody goes out and parties, but don't go out till after 10 o'clock.
And Rampage this week is on a strange time, but
yeah, it's like 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
weird, but that's NBA stuff. So
there you
go. Can't fight with the NBA.
No.
Anyways, thank you again. It's been fun. We're here every week. and we will see you later this week. Happy Thanksgiving. Have fun. Uh, hang out with the family. And until next week, later.